In this video, we're going to talk about solving quadratic equations with the zero product property. First, we're going to figure out what the zero product property is. What values of the variables make each equation true? So my first equation is 6 plus 2a equals 0. And I know that for this to equal 0, 6 would have to be added to negative 6. So that means that 2a must equal negative 6. And what would a be? Well, if I divide negative 6 by 2, I get that a equals negative 3. Now, another way that you could go about figuring this out is just solving the equation. So if my equation is 6 plus 2a equals 0, to get a by itself, I would subtract 6 from both sides. And that gives me 2a equals negative 6. And just like before, if we divide both sides by 2, we get a equals negative 3. My second equation is 7b equals 0. Now I know that in order to multiply and have it equal 0, b would have to be 0. The only number that I can multiply by 7 and have it equal 0 is 0. Now, of course, I can also figure this out by solving. I can divide both sides by 7. So 7b divided by 7, and I have 0 divided by 7 on this side. 0 divided by 7 is 0. Now for number 3, we have 7 times c minus 5 equals 0. Now we saw above that 7 times 0 equals 0. So this means that c minus 5 has to equal 0. And that means that c would have to equal 5. And lastly, number 4, g times h equals 0. So as we see above, in order to multiply and have it equal 0, you can only get that by multiplying by 0. So either g or h must be 0. They could both be 0 because 0 times 0 is also 0, but one of them has to be 0. If one of them is 0, it doesn't matter what the other number is because anything times 0 is 0. And this is what the zero product property is. It says that if the product of two numbers is 0, then at least one of the numbers is 0. So either g is 0, h is 0, or they're both 0. For each equation, find its solution or solutions. Be prepared to explain your reasoning. So the first one here is a problem that we've already seen, x plus 3 equals 0. In order to get x by itself, I subtract 3 from both sides. And that gives me x equals negative 3. Now for number 2, 3x minus 4 equals 0. Again, I'm trying to get x by itself. Now, unlike the problem above, this x is going to be a fraction. I can't think of a number that I would multiply by 3 and have it equal to 4, and then so that when I subtract these, I get 0. So I'm just going to solve by adding 4 to both sides. And then dividing both sides by 3, and that gives me x equals 4/3. You can just leave it like that. Now, for number 3, we have these two factors, x plus 3 times 3x minus 4, multiplied by each other, and that equals 0. So that tells us that x plus 3 could be 0, And if that's the case, then we get what we solved for x up here. If x plus 3 equals 0, then x equals negative 3. Or 3x minus 4 could equal 0. Which is the problem that we solved up here in number 2, and that means that x equals 4/3. So again, we see here where we have two answers, x equals negative 3 or x equals 4/3. And lastly, for number 4, we have x times x plus 3 equals 0. Now again, one of these two factors must be 0. So that means that either x equals 0 or x plus 3 equals 0, which again means that x equals negative 3. So my answer is x equals 0 or x equals negative 3. Some people sometimes forget about this x equals 0 answer because this x is not in a set of parentheses. But you have to remember that either of these two factors could be 0. So x equals 0 is a possible answer.